Have you ever wondered what the world would look like without us? I mean, really thought about it. All over the planet, there are these incredible places that were once just buzzing with life. Cities, whole communities. And now, they're completely silent. So today, we're going to explore what happens when people leave and nature gets the invitation to come back.
Man, this quote really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly sets the mood for what we're about to see. We're literally stepping into these other worlds where all the noise of human life, it's just faded away. And what's left is the sound of the wind and, well, the sound of nature taking back its turf. It's such a fascinating question, right? When we turn out the lights for the last time and lock the doors for good, who or what moves in? The answer is pretty incredible. It's a story about things falling apart, sure, but it's also a story about transformation, and in a weird way, a kind of rebirth. Okay, let's kick things off with cities that were literally born from a jackpot. We're talking about places built on dreams of diamonds, coal, and gold. And their stories, well, they're a wild ride. They show you just how fast a fortune can be made and how completely it can all just disappear. So our trip is going to start in the sands of Namibia. Then we'll jump over to this crazy fortress island off the coast of Japan, and we'll wrap up in the classic American Wild West. Every single one of these places was built on a massive dream, and each one tells a totally unique story about big ambition and what happens after. So picture this, it's the early 1900s, and someone finds a diamond in the Namibian desert. It sparks this absolute frenzy. A super fancy German-style town, I'm talking a ballroom, a hospital, the works, just pops up out of the empty desert, almost overnight.
But here's the thing. The boom was intense, but it was short. As soon as the diamonds were gone, the town had no reason to exist anymore. And as the last people packed up and left, the Namib Desert, which was kind of just sitting there on the edge of town, waiting, well, it started to move in. Slowly, but it never stopped.
And what we get is the perfect example of a ghost town. But what makes Kolmanskop so wild is that the desert didn't just surround the town, it invaded it. Can you imagine walking into one of these beautiful old houses and finding the rooms are just filled with sand, sometimes right up to the ceiling? It's completely surreal and honestly hauntingly beautiful.
All right, now for a complete change of scenery. We're heading off the coast of Japan to Hashima Island. From a distance, with its high seawalls and these dense concrete buildings, it seriously looks like a warship. That's how it got its nickname Gunkanjima, which literally means Battleship Island.
Get this? More than 5,000 people. For years, this little speck of land was a huge undersea coal mining operation. Thousands of workers and their entire families were packed into this concrete jungle. It was, for a time, one of the most densely populated places in the history of the world. Just think about that.
Then, in 1974, the coal ran out, and the island was abandoned almost in the blink of an eye. Now, it's just this decaying concrete fortress getting hammered by typhoons and salty air. The very sea that it was built to keep out is now just taking it apart, little by little. And for our last stop in this section, we're heading to the American West. Bodie was the real deal, a true Wild West town that just exploded into existence in the late 1800s, all because someone struck gold. It was a place crawling with miners, saloons, and yeah, even gunfights. And just like our other stories, when the gold dried up, the people vanished. But what makes Bodie so special is that they left everything behind. And because of the dry climate, the town is preserved in this state of arrested decay. What that means is they're not trying to fix it up, they're keeping it exactly as it was when the last person walked away. It's like a perfect time capsule of a whole different era. Okay, so we've seen what happens when the money runs out. Now let's shift gears and look at cities that were emptied out by fate. These are places that were abandoned not by choice, but because of some sudden, terrible disaster. Or just the slow, unstoppable march of time.
Just look at how fast this all went down. I mean, it's shocking. On April 25th, Pripyat was this modern, bustling city of 50,000 people. 2 days later, after the Chernobyl disaster next door, it was empty. Forever. In less than 48 hours, it became a ghost town. And today, time is just frozen there. You can find toys scattered in kindergartens, books left open on tables, all while a forest is literally growing up through the streets and swallowing the city whole.
So we go from the shocking speed of Pripyat's end to Craco in southern Italy, a town whose death was a much, much slower and more agonizing process that took decades to play out.
For 1,000 years, Craco just sat there, perched on top of a cliff. But the very ground it was built on turned into its worst enemy.
A whole series of landslides and earthquakes through the 20th century just made it impossible to live there anymore, forcing everyone to gradually leave. Now, all that's left are the stone skeletons of buildings, telling a silent story of a really long past.
Now for our last example, and this one is on a whole different level. We're not talking about a town anymore. This was the incredible capital of the massive Khmer Empire. At one point, one of the greatest cities on Earth.
You know what makes Angkor so absolutely breathtaking is this weird collaboration between two powerful artists. On one side, you've got the mind-blowing genius of human engineering, these massive, intricate stone temples. And on the other side, you have nature's art, these gigantic tree roots that just wrap themselves around the stone, becoming one with it. It's a scene that's both destructive and just stunningly beautiful at the same time.
So, after visiting all these forgotten worlds, right? From an African desert to a Japanese island to the Cambodian jungle, what's the common thread here? What's the big message these silent cities are trying to send us?
So what have we really learned? I think it's that these places are way more than just sad ruins. They're these powerful, in-your-face reminders that our time on this planet, it's not guaranteed, and that nature's power is absolute and relentless. But they also show us that decay isn't really an ending. It's more of a transformation, creating this strange, haunting beauty that tells a completely new story.
And that kind of leaves us with one final, pretty mind-bending question to think about. Just look around you, right now, wherever you are. Imagine it all empty. If every single one of us vanished tomorrow, how long would it really take for nature to completely erase our footprints and turn our world into just another forgotten one?